I may have noticed something that has happened since we've now gone over to the main to an online workplace scenario now. Yeah. And I've noticed it with different things I've been reading about, and also the personal experiences with clients and others around me. And that is now there does appear to be an increase in meetings for some strange reason, and online meetings at that. Okay. Um, Now I came from an industry and it was engineering, and we always seem to be getting called into meetings. And my perception of meetings are the most boring places you'll ever be. Instead of being productive and getting on with the job you're discussing in the meeting, you were sitting in the meeting discussing why it hadn't been done. Yeah. And people say, well, you could delegate. Who do you delegate to? Yeah. Now, I'm not saying meetings are all pointless. Certainly not. When I did a meeting, I would always have an agenda. Yeah, that's a discussion. That's a discussion. Well-managed meetings. Yeah, obviously. And then I'd say, well, that's outside this meeting scope. Yeah, it wasn't to dis, you know, disconnect anyone, but just say, well, I think that's a private conversation you two people could have. We highlighted it there. Yeah, which those two people, I would probably have been doing anyway if they hadn't been in the meeting anyway. So yeah, it's very strange. I think what's actually happening, and I think we've got to be aware of this, or managers have to be aware of this, is I think you're getting a lot of managers now sitting remotely, they're working remotely, or in an office somewhere because they've been told by the management that they have to go in almost every day, feeling lonely, a bit concerned because they don't know what's happening, or overall, yeah, a yeah, well, feeling vulnerable in effect. Yeah. Um, Now they've got two choices here. They can either have a more increased hybrid form of working, instead of having staff spend 2 days at home, have staff, or staff 3 days at home, have staff only 2 days at home, or manage the resources a lot more effectively. Um, Increase their reporting systems, such as something as simple as a spreadsheet you put round. You ask the staff, not micromanaging, to write down what they're doing and their progress. Yeah. Once a week. It doesn't have to be every day or midweek and then at the end of the week. Yeah. If you need a progress, and I've put these in place. I did it for one of my bosses one day. I came up with this idea of a spreadsheet that's just a reporting spreadsheet that everyone gets sent at the same time. Everyone can fill in, or you have it on systems now where you can have it on the, not necessarily cloud, but on the internal intranet that everybody fills it up. And you as a manager then could just check everybody's done it, and not the last thing on a Friday, but maybe dinner time on a Friday, send someone a reminder. Yeah. That at 2 o'clock you'd like their reporting, which is fair enough. If they're staying at home and they're capable of working at home, they can spend 3 minutes writing a progress or giving an indication of where it is. But it does seem now the button gets pushed and everybody has to now attend a meeting, sometimes at 10 minutes notice. I know this is true because I've seen it with some of my clients. Yeah, where I've had where I'm about to do a session with them, and they've just sent to me 10 minutes beforehand, teacher, I'm afraid, or I have a meeting now. Sometimes I'm sympathetic and I'll say, well, we can readjust, or other times, they have to suffer it depending on circumstances. I don't think this is always fair on staff. Yeah. I mean, I often used to question it when we had face to face when I was in the UK. We used to have things called Monday morning meetings. What's the purpose of a Monday morning meeting? Well, to delegate work, what you're going to do during the week. So what's changed between Friday afternoon and Monday morning? Yeah. Um, People do tend to know what their jobs are. They do tend to know what they have to deliver. if you have such a good company organization that if people are struggling, even online remotely, they can just send you a note via WhatsApp now or email to say they're having a problem. Or even, maybe it's their day they've been in the office. Being a good manager doesn't mean micromanaging. It means just going to somebody's desk and saying, is everything all right? Yeah, you're not alone. Yeah, don't give it too many the sort of reassurance. But just say to make people feel as though they can say if they have a problem. Yeah. I've seen this all work before. It's been part of my management training to actually to work like this. Now, just because a lot of the world has gone online, and in some companies, production has increased because of online working. Yeah, depends on circumstances, obviously. People get more used to it. The systems have improved. For example, our podcast here is a high quality podcast where I can share information with you very, very quickly if I needed to. Yeah. We have the facilities. I'm not a great fan of total online working. I agree with Elon Musk that if you're maybe working in a factory, why should executives all be at home when you've got factory workers on the floor, as it were? It does depend on it. Certainly people that work in the financial world don't need to be in an office all the time. The systems are there. They can work remotely on their spreadsheets or whatever else they're working on. Their SAP system, whatever, and it all goes to a central place. So why then do they need to have a meeting that's suddenly 10 minutes before anything else that a couple of my clients have said to me, I don't know what that meeting was about, because it could have been done by email. Yeah, not only that. And I've seen people complain about this online as well. Okay, the trouble is with people complaining online, some people complain about having a job in the first place. Now, I just find it interesting. My question is, why we've got all these systems now. Evidently, people are busy because people are suffering a bit of stress and everything else. Things are getting delivered, which means people are working. Why is there so much need for meeting? Why does seem to be an increased need for meeting? How could meetings be better managed? And yeah, our managers now feeling under more pressure to prove they're doing something. Over to you, Steve.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Monday morning meetings, I can tell you. Back in the day, I used to smoke 2 cigars a day. I used to smoke one in the morning when I got up. And it used to take me about 15, 20 minutes to smoke the thing.
Yeah.
And that gave time for me to sit down and think of what I'm going to do on the day.
Yeah.
And I used to smoke one in the evening.
Mm.
And that gave me time, once again, about 20 minutes of smoking. Once again, and that was to reflect on what I've done over the day and how it could have been done more efficiently, perhaps, and things that I might have missed out.
Yeah.
Right. So that's your Monday morning meetings. That's why they have them.
Yeah.
Right. It's to make sure that everything's planned and everything's going to work together, and everybody understands everybody's in agreement of what's going to take place over the next day, 2 days, 5 days, week,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
Right? So everybody's on the. Now, this thing about working from home is a phenomenon that has only come to the main line, if you like, the mainstream, since COVID.
Yeah.
So anything pre-COVID, I don't believe that half the people were working from home. Everybody went to the office and they were working in the office. The only people that used to do conference calls are the CEOs and the directors, because normally they were flying around in different countries doing different things, and the only way to get hold of them is by phone, or used to be by phone.
Yeah.
And when video chat came in, by video chat. The problem about having too many meetings online, and I don't think there are more meetings online, I think there are meetings online because there used to be no meetings online.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so now you have online meetings, there
Mm,
are of course more meetings online.
yeah,
And you having a meeting online, you've got the danger of people not knowing what you're doing. So we've got the famous case of the guy from CNN rubbing one out while he was on in a meeting,
yeah,
right? And you know,
yeah,
that's yes, keep your hands up, people.
yeah,
That's broken my rhythm. But
yeah,
you know, so you know what so you need to know what they're doing. And I,
yeah.
I don't think working online is gonna ever replace working in an office.
Mm,
Why do people you say that people on the who work the money markets are fine to work from home? No, they aren't. Because what they don't have at home is a massive bog of computer which can cope with all the information that's going to come in because they're on the apart from part of it being automatic anyway, but
yeah,
at home they're just going to have what I've got here
yeah,
or what
yeah.
you've got there, right?
Well,
And it's not going to be enough to check all the currencies of the world going up and down all at the same time. It's all right if you want to check the dollar and the pound and the euro, right? But if you're going to go over to like 700 different currencies where you can be making or losing a million,
well, yeah.
you need to go somewhere where the technology is better, and normally that's in the office with the company where they're working from.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people work at home. It's now a glorified terminal. I mean, yeah, it's just a glorified screen they're looking at, and yeah, the
But
information
they're
going
going
up
to,
for cloud or whatever. But yeah,
that's the case, then if that's the case, then I'm sure that people have been designated certain markets that they've got
yeah,
to keep an eye on.
yeah,
But in terms of a global vision, they're not going to have
mm,
just because, unless they've got a humongous computer at home or a very powerful computer at home,
yeah.
you know. So that's out of the way. Why should you have meetings in general, right? Which is something that you'll never get from an online meeting, but a presential meeting is unity. You're seeing the people and feeling the people and smelling and touching the people that you're working with. And that's when relationships are formed instead of being an anonymous face that you see on a computer screen every now and
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
right? You see them every day. You're in the same office, and you form relationships, and not always good, sometimes bad, but that's part and parcel of life, I suppose. But at the end of the day, when you have a meeting, it's unity. It's put everybody on the same page. It's bring everybody together. And sometimes we'll have a meeting with one aim,
Yeah.
but really the real aim of the meeting is to bring people together.
Mm.
The point of the meeting, let's have a meeting about this. Perhaps this is not all that important. What's important is that you all sit in a room together and draw yourselves together, which you can't get on the internet.
I mean,
You you
yeah.
can't get it. You can't get it online.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I mean, when I was doing project management, um, the most important meeting was the first one, the startup, where you got as many people as you could in, stakeholders or whatever you want to call them, people interested parties. Yeah. That was the kickoff meeting, the startup meeting. That was probably quite important that you pulled people together there, and from that they could establish their relationships with each other. When I mean that, I mean yeah, that's where you got that. Well, we're going to do this. This is our structure. This person's responsible for that. Yeah, even if you hadn't appointed anyone, yeah, you could say what it was, and then from there. Um, I suppose you could have a lot of little micro meetings every so often, mini meetings with people that are relevant. I mean, I used to get annoyed when, yeah, I've called to a meeting and I might have absolutely no no input to it at all. I know you could say I'd probably learned a lot from meetings about what other people were doing, and I do agree, don't disagree with you there. I could probably be passive listening on an online meeting to do. Again,
When
I
when I'm
agree with
talking
you about the relationships. Yeah.
when,
Um,
when I'm talking when I'm talking about presential meetings, I'm not saying it isn't undercover boss where
yeah,
everybody in the factory get together and have a good laugh at the boss. I'm
yeah,
not talking about.
yeah.
You always have micro meetings
Mm,
because it's by department or it's by
yeah,
team or it's by
yeah.
it's by because what happens with one team is not going to happen with another team. When you talk about the internal structure of a company, this left hand is not necessarily going to do the same thing as this
No,
right hand. It's
right.
not
Yeah,
going to say
yeah,
that left hand,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I don't. The meetings are important and they should be more frequent. Like I said, it's to bring everybody together, put everybody on the same page. You're talking about a manager who has to go in every day and sit behind his desk and be on his own. That's a manager's dream job, but he can only do that when he's got presential workers at the office because he can control with far more ease when a person is there physically than just letting people wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning, feed, give, take the kids to school and do all this, that, and the other, and they're hardly ever doing the work. You
Um,
can't monitor. And
um,
even these spreadsheets of what, progress reports that Elon Musk put out there the other week, you know, the they there's nothing to stop anybody lying.
oh no, there has always has to be trust, but yeah,
Yeah, of course. Well, you can't do that. Otherwise, you're gonna be sucked in and spat out at the other end, broke. You know.
you got. I mean, I used to work remotely occasionally. I didn't particularly want to go to Birmingham from London. Um, maybe the people around me had seen it to me who just like that. But I was working in London. I went over, so I was able. I proved that I was working. Anyone phoned me at any one moment, I was on the phone within 2, 3 rings. Yeah. I certainly wasn't playing golf or doing anything else. I think if I went for a walk or something, and I said, "Well, I'm having a bit of what do I call it? Yeah, exercise or sort of yeah." The company was quite big on I called it desk on feet, feet on desk time or something like that. But yeah, I lived near the beach, or my parents were when I was living. I could go for a quick walk. My health time. Yeah, mental health hour, as it were. But it's a dinner hour in effect. Yeah. I'd say that to people. I'm just going off to dinner for an hour. I'll be back this time. And I was back. Yeah. Um, so anyone knew could get hold of me. Um, the only thing I did insist is that even when I was doing contract, that somebody gave me a company phone that I could turn off when I wasn't actually on the clock, as it were, on the book, yeah, on the clock. Yeah, my own phone. I use my own phone now, obviously, for my business, but again, I'm in control of that because I can choose when to answer and when not to. That's a slightly different thing. But yeah, because the amount of people I work for, that do third party work for, I'd end up with about 3 or 4 different phones all ringing at the same time, possibly. It wasn't going to happen. But yeah, I just think that maybe we've got to look at the modern world. Might have to accept that online is going to become more predominant. We have to psychologically get ready for it, whether or not we agree with it or not. It's a way that the world is going. Um, I can see there being a case when they build new homes. Houses are getting smaller, but you're probably going to end up with a box room, almost a broom cupboard, which is going to be the online working office, somebody to work remotely. Because a lot of us are just compromising. We're working in a bedroom here, the screen behind me, in effect, yeah, or in a utility room. Um, okay,
Studio, sir. Your studio.
yeah, yes, my studio. This is my
There you are.
studio. My
That sounds better.
studio. Yes. Yeah. I won't show you what's behind me. Yeah.
Don't.
Yes, there's lots of recording equipment behind there, and I'm
There you are.
expecting Paul
There you are.
McCartney to come in and do a session in a minute. But yeah. Um
That's a
yeah,
mini cave.
yeah. But it's a yeah, I'm just looking at this, but then we might have to adapt around the modern world. Now I remember Arthur C. Clarke did an interview in the 1964. There's a famous video about him doing it. I'll see if I can find it. I might put a link to it where he's talking about this. He's also then talking about, yeah, being able to work remotely. from anywhere in the world. Yeah, there's nothing for me.
Which is good for CEOs,
Yeah,
which is good for people who have really important jobs. But for nubbins who
yeah,
works at the local office,
yeah,
doesn't need to work remotely
yeah.
because they've got an office and that's what they do.
I mean,
To show you how successful working from home is,
yeah,
when Elon Musk bought
mm,
Twitter,
yeah.
he sacked half the workforce
At least, yeah,
because they weren't pulling the weight.
yeah.
There you are. That should if that doesn't give you a red flag, then nothing will.
I think you've
And
got.
we see what it's doing with. I mean, okay, you can argue that it's government departments, but you can
Yeah.
see what it's doing with Doge and
Well,
this and the stupid things that are going on with the governments,
yeah,
or even Milei from Argentina.
yeah,
He's half his government,
mm,
so, no, half his government. No, sorry, half the civil servants
yeah.
because they weren't coming up to scratch, and
Well,
it was just a waste of space.
yeah. Well, it's like the old joke. What do you do? Not a lot. What do you do? I help him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I've worked for nationalised industries, and yeah, you if you've got a conscience, they're not the best places to work for. I'm not saying that everyone who works in government is bad. There's also I've met some very hard
No,
workers.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm not on about the merits of working with the government, and I'm on about
yeah,
working from home.
yeah.
And I think that if you leave all your workforce to work from home, uh, you're going to go bankrupt, basically. As
Yeah,
long as if you're not in manufacturing,
yeah.
where you need to have people to do the labor, to
Mm,
do the work, to make the things that you're selling.
mm,
If you're like an office service, for
yeah.
example, working from home is not the way to go.
Interesting fit. I mean, yeah, yeah, we've got the technology to do it. We can cut our
But
costs with
we're
office
all human.
spaces. No car parking.
We're we're
Environmentally
all,
good for no traveling. Yeah,
we're all human. And whereas if I was 20, 30 years younger
yeah,
and I had to work from home and the beach is only 400 meters away, then you know, I mean, you just do the maths. Now I'm an old fart, and I could be spending all my time napping on the couch, and you you wouldn't be none of the wiser. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so working from home is not I think that's probably why your clients you were on about getting these 10-minute warnings for a meeting. It's just to make sure that they're online. It's just to make sure that they're awake because anybody can leave the computer on
Yeah.
and then they're online.
Mm.
But they've got to be at the computer. They've got to be doing something productive at the computer. And there's no way, I don't think, other than faith,
Yeah,
that they're actually productive.
it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it comes down to conscience and yeah, trust, etc. Okay.
Nobody's got that these days, man.